Kahal Kadosh once happened in Hodu, which is India. There was a group of Arachim. That what they do there in India is that they come on Thursday nights and they try to get all the Jews together. Many times there are Israelis that they are there, whether they're wandering the world after their army. And what happened is that he got together a group of people and they were all sitting down. This is by a bonfire on Thursday night. And there was one person that he felt out, person with a look non-religious, with a long cuckoo, a long ponytail. He was upset that he was convinced to go with his friends to this place, a Baita Yehudi, this Jewish experience. But the second that he saw that it was run by religious people, he wasn't happy. So the rabbi comes and he starts speaking about the difference between the Avodah Zarah, all the different things that are happening in India, and the Kedushat Shabbat, the Kedushat, what we have around us. And again, this person is completely out. He's a stranger to everything which is going on. So he doesn't want anything. And what happens is he comes and he tells them, listen, I'm going to invite all of you for Shabbat, but we don't have a kitchen staff. So if you want to stay, there's a price. You have to pay for it. You guys help out. So they were all excited. They're going to help out. They start with the preparations of the Shabbat. There's only one person again. He's not happy. He's just doing his own things. He takes his phone and he's completely lost, but he's there, but he's not with it. When the rabbi finishes, he comes and he tells them, okay, fine, we're still not finished. They're enjoying themselves. He takes the clarinet, he takes the music, and he starts singing a beautiful song. This beautiful song, the Rebbe HaKadosh of Aaron Mikalim, he came and he made a beautiful song called Ka'ech Sof Noam Hashabbat. I never actually heard of it until you go and you actually listen to it. It's something beautiful, and even the words, it's something very, very touching, showing about how much we're yearning for the Kedushat, the Shabbat. The rabbi here is coming, and he's singing this song with his eyes closed on the clarinet. And all of a sudden, when he finishes, somebody comes and pipes up, Rabbi, can you do it one more time, please? He looks, and he sees that this Bahur, this person, youngster, that he was so off, turned off from everything. All of a sudden, he's the one with his eyes bawling with tears, asking for him, please, can you sing it again? So the rabbi comes and he sings it again. And again, you have this student that he's asking for it again and again. And the rabbi looks at him as if, what's so important about this song that's making you cry? What's this connection? And he went and he told them, you should know that when I was younger, I came from a house of Hasidim in one of these oldest neighborhoods in Yerushalayim. He left everything. And he went and he started doing Avodah Zarah. He went to India, which is Makom Tameh, where there's everything. And he said what happened is that last night by accident, I met this group of Israelis. And we started speaking. We said, okay, fine, we're going to get together, a whole bunch of youngsters. He said, why not? I'm also going to come. But he said that the second that I heard the music, the second I heard this songs of Shabbat, the holiness, I remembered what it was in the past. I remember the table of Shabbat set. I remembered how it was with my family all around, singing together with the Kedushat of the Shabbat. He says, that's what I remember. I want to go back to the Kedushat of the Shabbat. I want to feel. And therefore you see, of no matter how many layers of going tum'ah, of impurity, of going back, and again with all this negativity and all the avodah zarah that you want, the Kedushat of the Shabbat with the songs of the Shabbat was able to penetrate, was able to go deeper into something that we couldn't even imagine. That's what it was, what's called the Bait of the Yehudi. However, though we think to ourselves, okay, fine, but there has to be something deeper. It was a finishing of the story. When they finished on that, they started on Friday night and they started singing. They were all singing together, whether it was the Kedushat, Shalom Aleichem, and then afterwards they came and they started singing Eshet Chai. When they comes right before the meal, he comes and he says, listen, Rabotai, usually the minhag is always that I want to bless my children, but my children are not with me here. And I'm sure that your parents want to also bless you, but your parents are not here. So let's make a deal. I will be like your parents and you're going to be like my children. So I want to come, I want to bless you. So they all come, he stands up on a chair, they all come around him and he starts with the Simcha Elohim Ki Ephraim Chimnashe, and then he finishes with the words, Yasirchem el Eretz Yisrael vel Shulchan Hashabbat Yudim Vatechem bekarov. He finished with a blessing. I bless every single one of you boys, of you children. Be'ezrat Hashem, you should be able to go back home to the Jewish table, to the table of Shabbat, very quickly. And they all answered amen, screaming. This boy that he was so turned off was Choser B'Tshuva. He was able to come back and to build a Bayit Ne'eman B'Yisrael. But what is so important about the Shabbat? What is so important that we have? How does the Shabbat do this? The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat Kuf Yudchet Amud Bet says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol HaMeshamer Shabbat Kilchato Afilu Oved Avodah Zarah Kedor Enosh Mochalino. If we are coming and we are doing even Avodah Zarah, if we're going to fulfill the Shabbat itself, they're going to forgive us. But why? What's the secret behind the Shabbat? So this week's Parashat Vayakhel, the first concept that we speak about is mitzvah of Shabbat. And the Or HaChaim Kadosh comes and the commentators ask, why was it so important for Moshe Rabbeinu to speak about Shabbat before? Right, when we're going to come and we're going to have what's called the concept of the Mishkan. And Kam Chachamim, and they tell us the following concept. And they say as follows. They say, you know exactly what happened. He says, I'm going to explain to you. Says the Or HaChaim Kadosh, when a person's going to come and they're going to keep Shabbat, they are Modeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why are they going to be Modeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So Kam Chachamim, and they say a beautiful insight as follows. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us this world, and every single day through our melachot, we are as if to say becoming kings over the day. We come and we are the ones that we give our input. Everything was HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the beginning, but we are the ones that are doing everything. And then what happens is that all of a sudden, it comes the day of Shabbat, and it's Shabbat Kodesh. Why is it Shabbat Kodesh? Because we're giving back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are recognizing that He is the one that created the world. He is the one that has done everything around us. We have nothing surrounding us. So therefore it becomes Kadosh, it becomes holy, sanctified. Why does it become sanctified? Because we are testifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Om Milevado, He is the King, He is everything. When people want to come and they want to stop working, what do? They do Shmita, they do right, and they stop working. Why are they stopping to work? Because they want to get a certain type of a goal, they want to have an aim. Kam Chachamim, they say that was the purpose behind Shabbat. Shabbat Kodesh is so holy because the Chet HaEgel was taking away the Shekhinah, taking away HaKadosh Baruch Hu from us. When we come and we accept upon ourselves Shabbat, we are actually coming and saying to ourselves, no, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are the only one that we are testing. You are everything. We are saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's nothing else other than you. So when a person comes and he wants to have a kaparan atonement for Chet HaEgel, the Mishkan, which that was, the house, which was going to atone for Bnei Israel, had to come with something. The coming with something is that there's something comes beforehand. Recognize the Shabbat is what the tests and what's giving us the power to recognize Hashem, you're everything in this world. There's nothing else other than the Kedushat Shabbat. Do you know that Yehuda Nasi used to come home every single Friday night, even after his death, in order to make Kiddush, to have the Seudah? The Shabbat is Me'en Olam Haba. This is going to be the future. We are going to be with such an awakening. We could feel the Kiddush of the Shabbat. However, though, the Rambam comes and he says something very interesting. He says, what is the kavod of the Shabbat? How do we give respect to the Shabbat? He says, you know what it is? It's a mitzvah to come to wash ourselves on Erev Shabbat, to put on our tzitzit and to be ready for the Shabbat. But he says, Yoshev bekoved rosh miyachel. We are waiting, we are yearning to receive upon ourselves the Shabbat. And therefore these to accept upon themselves the Shabbat early. Listen to the beautiful words of Rav Steinman. Rav Steinman comes and he says we should know the holiness of the Shabbat is so important. But on the other hand, we could be zochen Sheminat Shabbat. People will always usually accept upon themselves Shabbat close to Shikiyah, close to sunset. Right? But there's many times that we're pressured for time. And then what happens is we come into the Shabbat, we're rushed into the Shabbat. He says we shouldn't do that. We should try to accept upon ourselves the Shabbat early in a way that we will never come and Chas v'Shalom get into a doubt of accepting upon ourselves the Shabbat. He says, right, if we're going to accept upon ourselves Shabbat early, we will never know the real reward for it. And we know that one of the biggest sigulot for anything that we ever want, for a Yeshua, for a salvation, is accept upon ourselves Shabbat a few minutes early. And pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are yearning to accept upon ourselves the Shabbat, which is a Yom Shekulo Shabbat. Listen to the Sfat Emet that was sent out. It says something incredible. It says that we know that the tikkun that we're going to have is through Shabbat. When Bnei Yisrael receive upon ourselves Shabbat and we accept the Shabbat, and we fulfill one Shabbat, just one Shabbat, and we'll all be free. He says that you should know as follows. It starts with Shabbat Bereshit and Shabbat in the future. And he says like this, we know that the month that we're coming up, it's Shabbat Mevarachim, is Nisan. Nisan is the Zman of Geulah, we're going to be redeemed. The month of Adar is the downfall of who? Of Amalek. Amalek Rasha was, that's what we just read in Parashat Zachor. So he says the first month is Nisan and the last month is of Adar. So he says you should know at the end, and that's why it's the last month, Amalek will be nothing. It'll be completely abolished, it'll be erased. But you should listen to this. He says, Bevadai Ra'u Chazal, Chazal saw, Ki le'atid in the future, Yishmeru Bnei Yisrael Shabbat Ketikuno Bechodesh Adar. He says, Bnei Yisrael are going to keep a Shabbat. You know when it's going to be? In the month of Adar. Ve'az be'aniach, when we're going to do this, Timchet Zecher Amalek, we're going to come and abolish the name of Amalek. Yesh Shemo Yiparach Shalem. The name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be complete. V'kiso Shalem. Rabbi Mirav Yamenu Amen. And his throne will be Shalem. Which means the Sfat Emet, which already was a long time ago. He comes and he's telling us something incredible. We will keep one Shabbat. And that Shabbat will be in the month of Adar. That's when we're going to abolish Amalek. That's when we're going to get rid of him. And once we get rid of him, we're going to be able to have Be'ezrat Hashem in Nisan the Geulah. Why do I think this is so important in our days? Because look what's going on around us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made us have a Shabbat almost every single day already. He took away from us this milacha that we come and we think we're always in control. And we think that we're able to do everything. And all of a sudden he comes and he tells us, Eno mi levado. Hashem echad u'shmo echad. Hashem is the only one that controls everything. It's all in Hashem's hands. We have no control of nothing around us. We only have one thing to do. We are yearning. Ya echsof noam Shabbat. We are yearning that we want to actually enjoy the Shabbat. We want to become one with the Shabbat. We want to become one with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we start realizing that there's nothing else for us. Only to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now when we have the Shabbat which is coming onto us, Bezrat Hashem, Shabbat Mevarachim, that we're going to say it's the month of Nisan, the month of the Geulah, we're going to come and we're going to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are yearning for the Shabbat. We're going to try to accept it upon ourselves early. We're going to enjoy the Shabbat. We are completely disconnected from the world. It's only within our four walls. It's us and Hashem, Acheder Yichud. Right? We are concluding ourselves with Hashem. And therefore we should try to utilize the Shabbat to become closer to Hashem. The tefillot, even if we're praying by ourselves, it should be longer, with more kavanah, enjoying ourselves. The Shulchan Shabbat should be truly, right, the Shulchan Shabbat, that we're singing. Our table should be spread with words of Divrei Torah, of enjoyment, of connecting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bezrat Hashem, finally, when we actually internalize this message, Bezrat Hashem, this should be this one Shabbat. This should be the Shabbat that we're going to become free from all the avodah zarah that we have around us, of all the time that we're spending, whether it's in our materialistic lives and everything that are around us, and say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we want to connect only with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu boi kala, when we say we want the kala to come out, we are asking for the Shekhinah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we want you back. We want our kala to connect with us. And we're just yearning for that. Bezrat Hashem, Hashem should bring the Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Yameinu. Amen. We miss you all, and Bezrat Hashem, we should just try to think over what we could do this Shabbat, try to learn more Torah, to have longer tefillot, to enjoy, to sing with the Shabbat, to truly have oneg Shabbat. Bezrat Hashem, we should be able to hear that the Kabe Shofar Gadol Cherutenu, the Shofar which is going to come, and finally bring us in the yearning of Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Yameinu. Amen. Kol tu Shabbat Shalom.